Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. It's all of those things, I think, wherever you are on the planet. We are today back in sunny Holland, which is unfortunate for Stephen because he's stuck in sunny Austin. Although he originally comes from New York, I think. Is that right?
Wow,
Stephen?
you got it in. I do, and you got it in before I do. So now they're going to pay you. Thanks a lot. There goes my my paid gig. I hope you're happy with yourself.
For the people who regularly watch and listen to the show, we know that Steve gets paid $1 for every time he mentions that city's name. But we're in Amsterdam, I think, with our guest today, Greg Shapiro. Well, yeah, even if I get the name right, that's what's the trouble with being dyslexic. I can't hear anything. But the thing about Greg is that I've been a lifetime fan, which says more about my age than his, I think. He's a comedian, a voiceover actor, an author. He's been on Dutch TV. He's been on US TV. He's probably been somewhere else and other places as well. Anyway, that's enough of me. What I don't understand, Greg, is how the hell did you end up in Amsterdam?
Origin story, huh? I came originally, from Chicago by way of New York.
Hey,
ding!
Yeah. Everybody's getting paid, but me. Oh, great.
I was not getting paid at the time. I was very much a starving artist, so I got a call to join some friends of mine from university as well as from high school. The same guys. They had started up this crazy concept comedy theater in Amsterdam, and would I want to come join them for one summer? And 25 years later, I'm never managed to get back. So
yeah, well, the drugs must have been good then, 25 years ago.
Yeah, they were much less strong. You could just abuse and not worry. But yeah, that's one line that I like to say about the Netherlands. So, fair warning, the Netherlands can be addictive. There's another line that the comedy theater, yeah, you like that? Good. The comedy theater is called Boom Chicago. So those guys like to say that, we just wanted to do our show for one summer. And it wasn't, we wanted to do our show in Amsterdam for one summer. And it's not for the reason you think, it's for the drugs.
So what happened to Boom Chicago?
Still around, still going strong. In fact, I've been telling that story long enough. I guess it's like it's longer than 25 years now. It's coming up on 30. So
wow.
Yeah, Boom Chicago is styled upon the theaters that we grew up with in Chicago, Second City Theater. And hey, we're all old farts. So, I was watching TV the night that Saturday Night Live had its first ever episode.
That would be in 1974, 76. I remember that too, with Gilder and Chevy and all. I stayed up one night. I was just a wee lad, not a comment out of you, David. And I watched this guy get on a ladder and fall down. It was Chevy Chase doing live from New York. And I was like, this is interesting. And I stayed up till 1 a.m. and I was like, okay, this is cool. And then the next day, everybody was talking about it. And I thought it was like this big secret that I had found. And within 6 months, everybody knew what Saturday Night Live was.
Oh, yeah. Not ready for primetime players.
Yep.
That was very much that was the Second City, kind of theme in a way. Because as soon as we got onto Saturday Night Live, we realized, it's not actually from New York. I mean, a lot of these guys started their,
Second City
at Second City Theater, and whoa, that's in our town. That's in Chicago. So John Belushi, Bill Murray, and then there was Toronto. So they contributed Gilda Radner and
Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd, yeah. So
Lorraine Newman was Second City, wasn't she? I think
I can't remember actually. Yeah, Lorraine Newman, Garrett Morris, and Jane Curtin. I cannot tell you. Maybe they. Anyway.
I know, right? This is for people that are listening to this. You're gonna like, what? I only know the people that are there now. It's really funny. It goes in spurts. Like the first 3 to 4 years when Chevy left and Eddie Murphy was on, it was still okay. And then this other group came in and nobody watched it.
Right.
And then it would get good, it would get bad. Like Billy Crystal was on it. And that's after Billy, you may remember this. Remember the television show called Soap, which was the comedy with Billy Crystal?
Yeah.
And so, right. So then 5 years later, I see him on Saturday Night Live and I'm like, you're like a movie star and you're like a television star, but everybody wanted to be on Saturday Night Live to cut their chops. And if I'm not mistaken, the first guest was either Don Rickles or George Carlin on Saturday Night Live. It was one of those guys.
It was not Don Rickles.
Okay, so it had to be
Carlin.
George Carlin.
That was 1975 first ever, the first ever episode with a guest host, and they've changed that format very little since then. And unlike Second City Theater. So yeah, I mean, we started watching those shows back in Chicago with that self-effacing kind of humor. Second City, like, okay, we'll never be New York. I just read in the paper today that Second City is finally opening up a location
in New York,
in Brooklyn, actually. But that counts.
Listen, if you're not in the city, it's one of the boroughs, but let's not get carried away.
Yeah.
Stephen, does that mean you only get 50 cents for saying Brooklyn's not quite in the city?
Yeah. So people in Brooklyn actually pay more than New York City because I grew up in the city. So when back in the day, Brooklyn and the Bronx and the Queens, people would mention those. You're like, ooh. Now because everybody's moved in and cleaned them up, it's sort of like someone says, I live in Brooklyn or I live in the Bronx or Queens. You're like, where? It's like they're all excited. Or Forest Hills, where the US Open is played, went through like a dive and became beautiful again. So yeah, it's going through this whole revitalization again. So we'll see what happens.
But Greg, is Chicago Boom then? Is that the theater company's name? Does it have a fixed address in Amsterdam?
It does. So Boom, it's called Boom Chicago. It gets its name because they had a logo of a bomb that was license free, and they wanted Chicago in the name. They wanted a name like Boom that meant the same in every language. So they they did not do their research. Boom means tree in Dutch.
Yeah. So Dutch.
So a lot of Dutch people are scratching their heads. I guess they're like a green themed activist thing. Anyway, but the theater is located at the Rozengracht in Amsterdam. And that is sort of, across the canal and down the street from the Anne Frank house. And
well, if you think comedy, you think Anne Frank. So I mean,
for many years,
yes,
we would stand in the line. Well, we would stand like talking to people waiting in line to get into the place. Because I mean, the place, it's there was always a line of at least like an hour long wait, and people needed entertainment. So we would, go talk with them about what are you doing tonight? That we used to do on-street promotion to get people into the comedy theater in Amsterdam. But anyway, I guess the fun thing is, once some of our colleagues who came to Amsterdam to join this knockoff version of Second City, which was, kind of like the second, trying to be Saturday Night Live. But yeah, when our first colleague got onto Saturday Night Live, that was quite a boost for us. So that was Seth Meyers in 2001.
Oh wow! So you know Seth?
Yes, and he has helped a number of people over the years as well. There have been writers for Saturday Night Live. There was, arguably, there was Pep Rosenfeld, who is like my still on stage companion. We're doing a show coming up in November. But he started, he was the first one to get a job writing for Weekend Update at Saturday Night Live. That was in the 2000 season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. Anyway, but so, it's been super fun watching. Let's see, Seth Meyers helped Amber Ruffin get a job. Now she's got her own show. And other people who joined Saturday Night Live. That was, let's see, Liz Kukowski, who went on to 30 Rock. Joe Kelly, who's one of the creators of Ted Lasso. Heather Campbell, who just wrote the latest episode of Rick and Morty. And so, yeah, there's like a lot of cool.
All shows that people love. Rick and Morty, 30 Rock, sure. So
Yeah, man.
that is very cool. It's a small world. I don't think people realize that that the world of comedy, and from the people that I know that were comics back in the day, they say we all know each other, and then you get really nice guys or girls that will help you, and you'll get the other ones who are like, go screw yourself. So it's nice to hear that, like Seth Meyers, who everybody really, I think, more remembers him as in his Shag movies. As you can tell, work with me, guys.
I don't know if
Powers.
I can.
Austin Powers, yeah. Austin Powers.
Austin Powers, yeah.
Oh, no, not Austin Powers. That's not Seth Meyers. That's Mike Myers. Oh, Seth Meyers is the guy that has a talk show.
Stephen,
well, they're not.
Stephen,
I'm going to be quiet now.
Stephen, medicine time, mate. Medicine time.
I gotta take those pills again. Thank God.
Because Mr. Heimer has already entered the room by the sound of it.
I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah, Elheimer.
And the best part about this
everybody's
is that
friend.
we don't edit this. So if Seth, your friend, and Mike, who you apparently don't know, is going to watch this, they're going to be like, "What this guy?" I'm like, "Listen, they're both. You know what? They both have Myers in their name. They look alike. We're good." So, but no, Seth Meyers is very funny. I watched his comedy special a couple years ago when he did it on Netflix, and I was like, "He's a funny guy." Yeah, he had that, and I mean, I only saw him when he did Weekend Update. I never really saw him as anything other than that. And
right? Oh, cool.
So he's a very funny guy. Mike Myers, on the other hand, that's why it's like the Shag movie, and that's why you're both looking at me like the RCA dog. So I'll go back to sleep now. The nurse will give me my enema, and then I'll be better. So there you go. So
enemas are great. Very
only at Hilda's House of Pain. You can pay. You mention my name, you get 10% off. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, she gave me 15%, Steve. I don't know what you were doing.
Well, you know,
you literally must have got a shit deal when you went there. But anyway,
very much. But he's here till Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Tip the wait staff, try the deal. So back to the real comic.
He brings out the worst in me.
You're welcome,
Greg. So a bit of a strange thing there, mate. Because why not the US? Because it seems to still have this pull to you. Is there a lady involved, a gentleman involved, children involved, dogs involved?
Whoa.
Well, I'm trying to be PC here.
It's a good thing we're not in New Zealand. You would ask, is there a farm animal involved?
New Zealand, Steve, where the men are men and the sheep are nervous.
That's true. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway.
And they make the same joke about Australia.
Yeah. And Wales and Suffolk, where I come from. Yeah. That's another story.
So is that right? Well, so if I can interpret the question correctly, it is, what happened? What went wrong?
Well, what went right, apparently?
Yeah, what went right?
The Hemingway-inspired 6-word story is came for work, stayed for love. So
very nice.
In a nutshell, that's how a number of us ended up staying here, actually, in Amsterdam. It was always tempting to go back. It was actually a cautionary tale with a friend of mine from Chicago who came out here, fell in love with a Dutch woman. She wanted to move back to the US. And so they both went back to Los Angeles. After a year or two, they realized they were miserable. So they moved back to the Netherlands where they live now. So anyway, it's true, though, a lot of friends of a lot of former colleagues have come out to the Netherlands and worked here for a few years, got in their reps, because one of the nice things about the comedy show here in Amsterdam is that there are just a lot of shows. You can have a bad show, and then the knowledge that I'll get back on tomorrow night, and then have the weekend, and there's a lot of shows still. And that's
are they walk on? Is it all stand up then, or people just walk on?
So let me explain a bit about the format. Indeed, in the Netherlands, there's this one term that's called stand-up comedy, but that includes one person, tag team with one microphone, or it includes improv comedy that is ensemble based.
But that's an oxymoron, of course. Dutch being improv. No.
There's a little bit. There's a little bit, indeed. In the Netherlands, they call it theater sports. And there's been two schools of. I mean, ever since improvisation came from theater rehearsals to on stage, performing the format. There's been like a Canadian format and a more US based. Anyway, so the Americans came over here and introduced the American style improv comedy, and that's even including like long form. We'll just take one suggestion from the audience and just go from one scene to another scene that leads to a third scene, and then maybe sometimes there's a whole one act play. And anyway, yeah.
So let me ask you this though: if you're starting out as a comic, David and I aren't starting out because we'll never be comics. But if you're starting out,
I'm too old to start out, Stephen.
I've heard that.
I'm looking forward to going home, to be honest.
I'm envious of a stiff win, but anyway. So my question is, if you're a young comic in the United States, just saying they're listening to this, because we have 12 fans and you don't know where they are. Would you yeah, it's true. Would you recommend them going to Amsterdam to get their chops broken and learn the trade? Or would you be like, no, do New York, do LA, do Miami, the whole thing? So what would be a better, in your opinion?
That's a great question. And I mean, I think I would still recommend Amsterdam in general, depending on what kind of performing you want to do. Since the mid 90s when we really got going. And by the way, sorry to answer the previous question. I had theater training actually. My whole 4 years of like theater training was find a group of like-minded artists and set down roots and build something up from the ground up. And so also part of my instinct to move back to the States was tempered by my instinct to try to help build something up. By the time there were colleagues who were like, oh, I'll do this for a year and then I'll go back and be on Saturday Night Live. I was like, oh, well, now I have kids. But anyway, and one of the babies was the theater that kind of, that sprouted up. So anyway, to answer the question about where to get started, if you want to start with improv comedy, and sketch, that's kind of Boom Chicago is like Second City these days, where it bounces back and forth between something interactive with the audience and something pre-written, which was developed, by improvisation. But that format is you can go to the Chicago. Still, Second City still exists. Improv Olympic, exists again. That's where Mike Myers got his start, as well as Second City. And anyway. And for stand-up, if you want to do something more like specific to stand-up, New York, great place. You can do 4 or 5 shows on the same night. Right. Amsterdam as well has more of a stand-up comedy scene now as well. One of the startups, Lara Ricot, who just was a newbie 2 years ago, she just went over to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and won Best Newcomer in the Edinburgh Comedy Awards. So yeah, Amsterdam is a good breeding ground for new talent.
But you had a whole series of shows running here, wasn't it? The Madness of King Donald?
That is correct. Right? Yes.
Yeah. Because,
well, we're jumping ahead a little bit, I guess.
I was always watching bits and pieces that you posted on that. I just had me in hysterics. So I hope we get a little bit of I hope we get to hear the Donald at some stage or another today.
Oh, sure. Well, let's build up to that. I mean,
there you go.
So,
Steve's a great fan. He loves it. He's going to wave the flag.
Let's go. I got your flag right here, pal. No, I'm not a fan. And off there, I'll tell you why. But anyway, not a fan. So
obviously, comedy and Trump fans don't seem to go together very well. There's the Kentucky female comedian, I think, from Ariel on Twitter. There's a video of her getting a beer thrown at her.
Oh, nice
comedy show.
Well,
by a Trump supporter.
It beats getting stabbed, though, right? Which is
man, Dave Chappelle.
It's like crazy now. All of a sudden, it's like we've gone from a nation of civility to I don't like what you say. I'm just going to punch you or stab you or shoot you. And I'm like, when did this? Oh, I know when this started, in 2016. So I'd like to go back to the older days. Like if I don't like what you say, I can leave the room. I can have a dialogue with you. But this violence towards I don't like what you say, I have to kill you. No, I think we need to get away from that. And this cancel culture is another thing that just annoys me. It's because listen, I was raised in the 60s and in the early 70s. I am not politically correct.
Right.
I mean, and I could care less and people go, that's offensive. I'm like, then grow a pair of balls and get out of my way. And it's like, it's not my problem that you're a pussy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if your mommy and daddy told you were special when you came in at 300th, mommy and daddy are losers too. Okay. So out of the way and let's do this. And the problem is parents they want to be friends. And my parents, yeah, back to, well, this is just how I feel. So, but I mean, just seriously, it's one of those things. David knows I go off on these tangents because that's what really annoys me is all of that.
Yeah.
Because people aren't people anymore. It's like, I don't want everyone to like me. I have like 4 friends. I'm good. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't need everybody to be my best friend. I need to be able to say what I feel, not, scream as, movie in a crowded firehouse type of thing. But I need to be able to say you'll think through that. I want people to be able to, you want to see what you think. And, I was watching something in a comic set. I got thrown off a school campus where at school campuses is where you could say anything. And now it's like, you've hurt my feel. Seriously? Yeah. And it's like, the world is getting worse, not better. I mean, maybe it's different elsewhere, but in the States, it's like everybody's offended by everything. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. We used to like have balls as a country. Now we're just like little mamby-pambies going, oh, you hurt I'm sorry, John. Get the hell out of here with this crap. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well,
you can see now why he doesn't have a lot of friends. Huh? So he doesn't need a lot of friends. And of course, he comes from
I'm not sure how they define it. Totally.
And of course, he comes from New York. So,
and unfortunately, this is old school New York, and all my friends that are old school New York, whether you're from the Queens, the Brooklyn, the city, they all think the same way. It's just, we all have to go into our professional life and we have to be a little nicer. But literally in meetings, everyone just says what needs to be said. And it's like, boom, we're done. Now we go to the next thing where everybody else is like mamby-pamby. Like when I was a kid, you didn't get a trophy for coming in second.
Right.
You didn't get, no one told you did a great job. No, you didn't. You didn't try hard enough.
Right.
And I think everyone now thinks they're entitled, which means I'm entitled to get on stage and apparently stab a comedian if I don't like what he says. And that's, you know what I mean? And that's where I think we have to pull that back.
One comedian, the beer is a can of beer. And so she picked it up and chugged it. Because it was apparently still enough in there. Ariel Elias, I think.
Elias.
Yeah.
And that's because she made a joke about the Donald.
And I'll get back to your question, but no, I believe her set was she just asked questions, and someone said like, "Did you vote for Biden?" And she was like, "You know what? I'm not gonna. I voted in New York, so it doesn't even matter." But she tried to move on, and then these other guys just got more and more upset until someone threw a beer. And anyway, the good news is she's gotten a lot of publicity. Since
next week she'll be hosting Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, how about that? Full circle. Well
there
done.
You go.
But sorry if I can loop it back to the one question about so Trump and doing let's see. So at Boom, we started doing an election year show about U.S. elections, Dutch elections, and then in 2016 we were doing a show that was called Angry White Men. But because it was either Trump or like Bernie Sanders or their followers being the theme and or hating on Hillary. But so we ended up changing the title of that show to Trump Up the Volume. And that is where I developed this voice. Okay. And the face that goes with it and the hands, very important, the hands. And so the Dutch TV show called Zondag met Lubach. So Sunday with Lubach. They called up on the day before Trump was getting inaugurated. And they said, we're making this little video. Do you want to do the voice? And so, we recorded it on a Saturday, went live on a Sunday, and it went
boom. Went boom.
Yeah. Back when viral was a good thing, remember that? And so viral, so good. And anyway, since then I ended up getting a lot of work, and I developed a whole solo show called The Madness of King Donald, which was like which I called a Trump tutorial, but then I toured it in New York actually, and I had to change the title there to a Trump survival guide, because like you were saying, Stephen, that the even in New York, which was not like, there were people throwing beers because you can't make jokes about Trump, but they just had Trump fatigue, so I started. I changed the show around as well. So I started talking about like how to survive these next whatever. That was 2019 already. So then
Well,
I did
2024 is coming up, so start making a show about that because
how about that?
between
Yeah,
this,
we
between
wanted
Biden,
over of the 2020 election. It was so unfair. And
but wait, you got DeSantis now, which is the Florida governor who likes to
Oh, yeah.
apparently. And the best part with DeSantis is actually took the Venezuelans from Texas. So
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a Texas and sends them to Martha's Vineyard. But the best part of that whole thing, there's a Texas sheriff that's
Oh, yeah.
looking to see if he can press human trafficking charges against
yeah.
DeSantis because of it. And I'm like, that is perfect.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
full
right.
circle to me. It's like, hey, you want to go somewhere nice? There's tennis courts. And I'm like, this is a beauty.
Right.
So to me, it's just like, if you're going to do something stupid, you got to pay the price. And that's pretty much stupid. So for 2024, you should have enough material to keep you going for like till 2028.
That's the theory now that I have, about how the media, the mass media, but media outlets in general, even like news outlets that you would expect to be rather favorable to the White House under Joe Biden, New York Times, Washington Post, for example. Not always very flattering. I have a theory that they're secretly mad. They're secretly upset because Trump was not. He didn't have great approval ratings because he cared more about TV ratings.
Right.
Joe Biden is like, I think if Joe Biden would care less about, if he would like do more crazy stuff, then maybe
He did. He
his
said
TV ratings would actually force up his approval ratings.
a couple of days ago, he just said, these are the two greatest words, make America great. I'm thinking, Joe, as far as I know, it's three, but I know.
He's
So
he's losing it. That's
No,
it's so
Reagan-
funny. That's like a miss, and then Fox News has a whole,
Yep.
day, 24 hours of programming. Like, does he have Alzheimer's?
Yes. Well, the Reagan was the best when it came to being old and being president, the 10 years that we had of Reagan, because
How
in
about
these
that?
last couple of years, you knew Ronnie didn't know where Ronnie was. And
Yeah.
Ronnie would do interviews and speeches. And I remember 60 Minutes. He did this one speech about an aircraft carrier and literally they showed the movie he was in. He was talking about the movies he was in, but he's making it like it was a real life thing.
Oh,
And 60
boy.
Minutes was doing this whole thing. It's like on this speech and this, and then this speech and that. But he's still a great president for what he did. And he had Volcker and some of those guys, which was cool. But like, there's nobody, I think there's nobody like that anymore. Like Biden's cool. I like him. He's got the aviator glasses. He's 107 years old and he drives a Corvette probably around the White House lawn because they won't let him drive it anywhere else.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, so who's the next? Like in 2024,
That's the big question.
who are we going to vote for? DeSantis, no, because who knows who he's going to ship to Martha's Vineyard, which kills my summer. So I can't have that. And then I don't think Trump's going to have a shot. I think, like you said, there's fatigue. And I think in the Republican Party, they're done. On the Democratic side, I don't know if we have anybody. It's like, The Rock goes, he's going to run. I'm like, great, then run. I mean, if we're going on popularity, great. But I go on skill, probably not the guy, but maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a different.
I think Joe Biden wasn't hugely effective. Go ahead. Sorry.
You must get a lot of questions from the Dutch as well, Greg, about about your thoughts about American politics, and do they ask you about the Dutch politics as well? Because that must be as confusing to you. I mean, as it is to me. I'm not allowed to vote. I'm disenfranchised because I lived too long out of the UK and not long, and I can't vote here. Well, I can vote. I can vote to whether or not I can put my my wheelie bin out on a certain day of the week.
Sure.
But anything other than that, no, I'm not allowed to vote.
Yeah. And
but the Dutch ask you a lot of questions about that as well. About
about your wheelie bin? They ask about your wheelie bin to Gregory. Why would they want to know about your wheelie bin from Gregory?
It's famous. It's famous.
Just a second.
I was told. She just came in. The nurse came in and said, "Talk about the wheelie bin."
Gotcha.
It's safe. It's not political.
You're on the wrong show, pal.
No, it's true though that a friend of mine who runs the website called DutchNews.nl. She's British, Scottish, and has been living outside the UK long enough. Can't vote there, and doesn't have the citizenship or to be able to vote in Dutch elections, except for the local city council elections, and that would include wheelie bin type issues.
Yeah.
And maybe the EU elections.
No, we're out of that now. We're officially out of the EU.
Oh God, of course. So
Yeah,
as a UK citizen, yeah.
Brexit. We can do a
It
whole
was,
show.
it was in all the papers, just so you guys are aware.
Yeah,
Financial
right.
Times had a whole article.
Yeah.
Oh, he's in the paper already.
He was in the papers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that going back to something you said earlier on about you wanted to call it two angry white guys. We originally were. What was it, Steve? Two old white guys.
Two old white guys.
Yeah,
was our show, and then everybody was like, "That's politically incorrect." So
yeah,
I didn't care, and we actually had a guest of color. I'll be polite, because I don't know what you're supposed to call. He's basically goes, "I'm black," and I'm like, "Great, but we'll call you a guest of color because we'll get angry people." And he loved the show. Two old white guys. He thought that was hysterical.
Yeah.
So we changed this one to this, and he was like, "I still like this name too." But the other one was better. But I think that people were worried about if it actually takes off.
Yeah,
that could have connotations on a different level. So we're like, two old farts making noises is like enough where it offends you, but not to the point where 100 years from now when history looks back, but look at these racist guys. They should have been wearing, the KKK thing. And I'm like, that doesn't work for me.
I can't imagine.
No.
Yeah, I did not find
is connotations another word for an American word for a subpoena that
No.
Oh, okay, right, fine.
No.
That's a subpoena.
Yeah.
That word.
So he's good. That person's gonna have he has a few issues right now. So.
Sorry, I'll stop doing that.
Yeah.
Listen,
no, we want you to do that. We'd love you.
We have,
no, you don't. Then he's going to be president again.
Yeah, if he's president again, the three of us are SOL. We have a comedian that comes on out of South Africa every few weeks. His name is Roland Woods, or Rob Vega, I guess is his stage name. And he's like a world famous voiceover actor, but he's very famous in South Africa. Yeah. And so he'll do all these impressions. Oh, great. And we just laugh. And we'll go through and we touch on subjects on everything. And it's just sort of like, and he comes back and he just likes keep coming back just so we can like stir the pot type of thing. So feel free to stir the pot. So we're good.
Well, that's good though that South Africa is one of those countries that I think they have dubbing, and in the Netherlands, unfortunately, they have subtitles. And so, I would love to be one of those voiceover actors who does, in Germany, they have a funeral for like, the Dutch Sean Connery, the German Sean Connery died. Right. And like, before Sean Connery himself even died, you're more than the voice of Sean Connery. Oh, okay. Those are celebrities.
Wow. Yeah. In the States, nobody knows what a voice actor does. They think they make cartoons. And then Raul, which was great, he actually educated us. And I was like, this is fascinating. And like, for gentlemen like you and he and the ladies that do it, like there's some of them that you mention their name and people like, you're so-and-so, you did this. I mean, like there's like a reverence to them. And I found it more at Comic-Con. The guys who did like Futurama, the voices of the robot, and this and that. They're like those people, like people know them on site. And I'm like, oh, okay. Or it's like the guy from Bob's Burgers. Yeah, they know him on site, or Homer Simpson and all this. So it's like, all that, or the other guys from Family Guy. So, all right, I've plugged enough shows.
Thing is, Steve, that what you're missing out at the moment is that Greg we should call him the Potato Man, Mr. Potato Man, because I know it pays the rent, but it made me laugh so much. Brilliant. So how did that come about?
There's a moment. Yeah, I do a lot of whatever people throw at me. So one of the more recent projects I did was shilling for potatoes. There is a potato processing company in Belgium, and they needed a promo video, someone to kind of talk things through. So there was a Dutch-Belgian director who knew me from Boom Chicago, watched me on stage for a long enough time. I guess he kind of wanted to work with me. So, if you know the ads for like Dollar Shave or SodaStream, maybe even the Terry Crews Old Spice originally. So that was his inspiration. And he actually got enough budget together that we made a video that had me parachuting out of the sky, whipping off my flight suit into like a business suit, walking through their corporate headquarters into their processing plant, getting trucks going all around me. It was fun to make. Yeah,
but it was a corporate advert, wasn't it? I mean, it's not sort of I thought I thought it was very clever, very, very, very tongue in cheek as well. And
Well done.
yeah, and
It was very
watched
funny.
Yeah,
That's high praise indeed, coming from a British person, saying that the Americans have any sense of irony.
no, well, you don't have any sense of humor either.
I have
you know,
2 hours. I don't understand.
I mean, what's old? 2.5-week old burger? Oh, come on. I mean,
No, it was a very funny video. I watched that. That was my introduction to you, by the way. David's like, you've got to see this.
yes.
And when he got when he reached out and said he wants to be on the show, he was like a little schoolgirl jumping up and down, like she just like whatever famous singer was coming, just like Frank Sinatra in the 50s type, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's like, calm down, because you got to watch the video. I'm like, okay. He's going to be on the show. So yesterday he's like, I'm going to reach out, make sure he's coming. Like, all right. So he's very excited that you're doing this, and we're very grateful. But it was just sort of like, this is like his moment. Like, if we never do another show after this, I think he dies a happy man. So it's one of those things.
Well, death is imminent, I think.
I was just going to say at this point, sure,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you shouldn't meet your heroes, and but it's maybe you're all in my mind anyway, so I don't know. But no, honestly, I mean, you post regularly on LinkedIn, and I've been following you for years on LinkedIn. And when I play it to loads of people, a lot of Dutch people, of course, they don't have any sense of humor at all, as we know. But yeah, it just makes me chuckle every time I see it. So yeah, so you're Mr. Potato Man who makes me chuckle. There you go. That's
yeah. And Mr. Potato Head was voiced by Don Rickles, and he did not host the first episode.
So George Carlin. Richard Pryor, I think, did the first Saturday Night Live.
He was definitely one of the first. Yeah.
I got introduced by some American airmen when I was living in the US.
Oh yeah.
Living in the UK. Sorry, for George Carlin for the first time. You could buy these whole shows on an LP.
Oh yeah.
And I remember the stories like Toledo window box and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
7 words you can't say on TV, which now you can say pretty much all of them.
How about that? There was, or you're required, but there's a great documentary, 2-episode like documentary series on HBO, I think, of and it was done by that guy. But anyway, it was very well done.
On George Carlin.
On George Carlin, yeah.
I remember that. Yes,
yeah.
It was like last year, I think.
Yeah. So
I'm waiting for the documentary.
I watched it with my kid who didn't. My kid knew George Carlin through the voice work that he did for Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh, okay.
Someone did a great video edit of Thomas of George Carlin narrating, Thomas the Tank Engine, but then throwing in the 7 words you can't say on television.
Nice.
Once my kid got old enough to realize, like, that's not what Thomas normally says. Chef's kiss. Brilliant.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now I'm waiting for the documentary on Rodney Dangerfield, because that's, or that would be an interesting documentary.
Still gets no respect.
So even in death. So Don Rickles already did his own documentary on Don Rickles. So I think he did the Don Rickles thing. We're just going to cover all the old comedians. Before you know, we're talking about Shecky Green and Flip Wilson and Slappy White. So Dick Gregory, love Dick Gregory.
Greg, I go back to, touching on that about documentaries. Is it a bit of a curse that, I mean, you are a professional comedian, but is that also a curse that people don't offer you serious things like documentaries to do?
Fair enough that you mentioned that. I have had a steady stream of voiceover work in the Netherlands. A lot of the work I would normally get is just case films, or sometimes they just want a sort of generic, American or English language narrator. And then I did the Trump voice, and I think a lot of people knew me for, 29 million people knew you.
after
20
that.
on YouTube. People forget that there are other viewing platforms. I think in total is like 50 million, but it's a lot.
Wow. Well, what's 50 million among friends? You know,
among friends. Yeah. But anyway, the drag of it is that now Trump is gone, and I think people forgot that I do normal voiceover work as well. So yeah, just recently I went in and did a corporate kind of friendly American selling voice, and the technician was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot you're you're good at just that." I've done corporate narration, I've done this and that, but yeah, so we'll get back to that at some point, I guess.
You people that are looking for a voice actor, right here, we have one right here. You can hire him.
Yeah, I'm just about to narrate my own audiobook, or the audiobook for my own book. So,
yeah, I was going to ask you about the book.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Can we have a look at the cover? Yeah. Oh, that one. Yeah. But
he just happens to have 500 of them on the shelf. So, very nice. The American in Netherlands.
And what's it called?
The American Netherlander, 25 years of expat tales. And
oh, wow.
Indeed, part one is.
Didn't you do something with that you show it to people and said, read a page and don't laugh? Was that the gig?
Oh, yeah, that might have been it. Something like that, yeah. I had the How to Be Orange book, How to Be Dutch, the quiz, and then I ended up combining those into this one thing that they finally kind of got it right. The pages are like, the paper's good, the covers. Anyway, I'm happy how it came out. But yeah,
where is it available, Greg?
Yeah, where can we buy it?
Amazon, or bol.com in the Netherlands. But also you can go to Holland Books. Holland Books, and that's the publisher itself. Cool. It's kind of dumb. They call it. They're doing this, I don't know, Dutch cheapo thing called print on demand.
Yes,
I think a lot of people are doing it because of, as well as paper shortages and supply chain stuff. But it used to be like, well, if you want to get all the typeset, ready, that's enough of a hassle, enough of a big ticket item that you can't just order 100 copies at a time. I mean, if you're going to go to all that trouble, then you need to order at least, minimum like 1,000. But apparently that technology has changed in the past couple of years. And so now it is economically feasible just to order 100 copies at a time.
There's more sad people out there who feel they need to write a book, of course.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. My wife is one. My wife is writing her.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's me off the Christmas.
So
that's me off the Christmas card list.
It's called the Droomhuis. It's going to be in Dutch, but it's a great. It's a whatever. Autobiofiction, but it's kind of a murder mystery set in. It's like, those reality shows where they're like, I want to buy a castle in France and I'm going to renovate it. So it's a little bit that, and it's a little bit murder mystery. Very much psychological drama as well. So anyway, I've read it. It's good, and but that's her book. I don't know how they're going to do that, on demand or just get 1,000 copies and sell them. So anyway, if you should go get look for this book, and and the photos. Don't forget, part 3 is the photos in the back, where we have
you gotta have photos.
Royal douche.
Oh
yeah.
I know some of those guys.
From Brooklyn. Anyway, that's just one example.
They are very funny. Those.
Oh man, it's my favorite part to do on stage as well. But if you should order a copy and they say, "Oh, it's sold out," like just wait a little bit, because that means they're in between printings.
They're printing on demand. Well, the good thing is on Amazon, nothing apparently is ever sold out.
How about that, right?
I know, it's like, I want plutonium. They're like, sure, we can think about a week. I'm like, sure. It's like whatever you need on Amazon, you can get. So
fair enough. Cool. In fact, I'm expecting a delivery after 4, so that's almost coming up. But anyway, don't.
No worries.
I hope we don't get
plutonium.
I think. I think that's a hint that he's had enough of us, Steve. I think
no. I'm actually I'm having a grand old time. But I'm promoting your book. This is great. Thank you. Yeah.
Of course, we'll promote your book. Yeah. Now we have to make sure everybody goes to Amazon and buy the book.
Yeah.
So.
And we're doing a little bit of exchange and barter for that. Then we'll promote your book because we're going to put that all down here.
Yeah.
All the links are all down here, which
Okay.
makes Stephen laugh for some strange reason. All down here.
Yeah.
But we will require you to say two old farts making noises as the Donald.
Oh my God.
Really. Thank you very much. Any other questions?
It's like, well, look at the time. I have to go. Amazon's
It's a delivery at the door. Here we go.
all of a sudden, the world's coming to an end. So, well, I will say this: it was a blast having you. It was like we love having comics on because it's just you get to talk about whatever.
Nothing.
They kind of nothing, and they go with the flow. And those shows people seem to love, and we love
You
it.
know what?
So,
I even forgot one thing.
Yeah.
Because David, you're asking about working with, names, working with comedians who have gone on to, great things. And in a way, this basis of improvisational comedy is like one of the main rules is you want to make your partner look good on stage. And so they've, for every one of my former colleagues who's gone on to TV and movies and Emmys, I'm like, I did my job. I helped my partner look good. They did not. I'm still
Okay. There's a lesson there for you, Stephen.
Good luck with that. You made it here to Two Old Farts Making Noises, where expectations are really low. So can you see? So they have helped you get to this plateau in your life. So there you go.
From high to low, we do our best.
Highbrow and lowbrow. No, I appreciate. I appreciate both of you. You're really quite a good team.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on, Greg, because I know this is probably way below your normal job.
These days, it's the whole face of broadcasting of podcasting. Podcasting, we forget, was that term was invented by a Dutchman, Adam Curry.
Yep.
Whom you may know in the U.S. from MTV days.
TV.
But
yep.
Anyway, it's the medium, the whole thing. It keeps changing. The playing field keeps changing all the time. And it's I'll turn around next week and you guys have 1 million subscribers. So
and then we're gonna have you back and thank you and say to you, look what you did for us, just like you did for Seth Meyers and all these other people.
Exactly.
So
happy to do
it'll be awesome. Thank you so much.
The thing is, Greg, we'd love to have you back on again.
Okay.
To chew the fat with you. That would be absolutely fantastic.
We
kind of played with the idea of having an extended dinner party. So probably next time what we'll try and do is get Roald on with you as well.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Because he's just he just does his thing as well. So lots of impressions and it'll invariably end up. The last show, Steve gave it some sort of title. He put it on YouTube, but I changed the name of the show from Roald because I called it USA, and a bit of France, and that was basically what the show was about.
So
yeah. So
that's me right now. USA, Netherlands, and a bit of France.
There you go. Oh yeah, you two, the four of us together. That's a 2 or 3 hour pot. That's a 2 or 3 hour show. But people will probably wet their pants.
It'll be a delivery day for him, Stephen.
Exactly. I'll have him deliver food.
That's right. Yeah. Amazon will be coming at any moment now, so it'll be perfect. So that's awesome.
Okay.
But Greg, stay with us after we've just switched off, just for the 1 or 2 things from you. And thank you so much for being on. Stephen, thank you for your time this morning, this evening,
thank you so much.
This afternoon, wherever we are.
Thank you very much.
You can find all of this on www.twooldfarts.vip.
And don't forget Gregory's book. Gregory, say something so they can see the book.
Oh, there we go. The American Netherlander. Thank you very much.
There you go, guys. Cheers.